Thank you to this forum for coming out to let us hear the voice of our community. Thank you. My name is Kraig Schultz. I live in Grand Haven, Michigan with my wife and 2 teenage sons. I'm an engineer, and today I'm here representing the communities that live on the shore of Lake Michigan and speak from an engineering perspective as a citizen who is actively involved in building a better future for our children and our great-grandchildren. We are the Great Lakes State. For thousands of years, you could travel anywhere on this land and drink the water from nearly any source, the rivers, the lakes, and especially the Great Lakes. Fish and plants could be eaten without fear of illness or disease, and the land was pure and clean. But in the last 100 years, we have laced our surface waters with bacteria, chemicals, and radiation that have made them increasingly less healthy to drink. Today, we have found new ways to get cheap energy, fracking our land, putting underground drinking water at further risk, and encouraging us to fracture the very surface of the earth for the short-term, limited supply of energy. I want to throw out a challenge here to all of us in the room, and that's to think about a new paradigm for how we approach energy production. Instead of thinking about a process to make energy that does minimal harm to the environment in comparison to the process we have right now, what about thinking about a process that actually cleans the air and cleans the water so that people fight to have a production site in their neighborhoods because the trees are greener near the industry and the water is cleaner having passed through the plant. A car that drives down the road and its exhaust is purer than the air coming from in front of the car. Why aren't we thinking this way? Why are we thinking that the best we can do is zero? Today, we're at a negative, and the best we can hope to achieve is to get as close to zero, but on the negative side as possible. I'm saying, why can't we bust through the zero and go positive? Now, for the doubters in the crowd who say I'm a dreamer, but in the real world we can't do that, I say to you, I'm just a normal guy with a Michigan public school education, and I drive an electric vehicle that I built in my barn that gets over 350 miles per gallon equivalent over the last 6,000 miles.
Yes!
Now, can it be done? Yes, it can be done. We must envision it, and we must take action to make it happen by designing cleanness into the design of the product. We must put away the childish thoughts of making electricity with fire, coal, natural gas, and nuclear. These were the tools of the 20th century. We must design cleanness into energy production. Here's good news. Last year, we installed a bunch of wind turbines in Michigan. This isn't Michigan. Thank God. The good news is that, that wind power is less expensive than coal now in Michigan. The bad news is that we have 641 wind turbines and they're making about 1 gigawatt. That's about the equivalent of an average nuclear power plant or a big coal-fired plant. That's a lot of wind turbines. We got to be careful with these because we don't want Michigan to look that cluttered. Here's good news. Solar. We heard a couple guys from Holland and Grand Haven in this area, they're living with the solar. Here's what they're doing in Germany. Last year, they were getting 40% of their peak energy from solar PV. It's real world. They're doing it in Germany. Look at this. Look at the color of Alaska and look at the color of Germany. Germany gets about the same amount of sunlight as Alaska. Look at Michigan. We're getting 30 to 40% more sunlight than Germany gets. And Germany got 40% of their electricity from PV last year, solar PV. This is what's left of Big Rock Point plant in Traverse City. We buried the rest of the plant, but we're left with this for 10 to 100,000 years. This is the high-level nuclear radioactive waste. I just want to make one point on that. Let me read my notes. There are people who say that the solar and wind won't work because we don't know how to store the energy. Let me remind you that the people who say we cannot store energy overnight are the same people who say that we can safely store nuclear waste for 10,000 years. And besides that, we do have grid storage. A123 is testing them all over the world. We have each one of those tractor trailers there has a capacity to hold up to 4 megawatt hours of capacity. And here in Michigan, we build cars, right? We have 3 battery plants that we help pay for. Those cars, like my electric motorcycle, each one of those electric cars can hold a day worth of electricity to power your house. That's decentralized grid storage, and that's a reality today. We just need to buy those cars and hook them up to our solar cells. So in summary, and I apologize for going over, 6 things. I recommend that we phase out coal, nuclear, and natural gases, the existing plants, as soon as they get to the end of their lives, and replace them with clean, less costly, renewable sources, like wind and solar. The second point is that Germany's success should be a template for us. 20 years ago, they instituted feed-in tariffs with 20-year contracts and guaranteed grid access. And one of the other things that holds us back is we have to pay about twice as much in the United States for solar installations as they do with the same panels in Germany because of paperwork. A big thing we need to do is work on the installation at individuals and small communities. That's the other thing in Germany. Their model has been successful. It's half of their solar power. Remember, 40% of their electricity last year came from solar PV. Half of that was at the individual and small community level. And that was because of feed-in tariffs and guaranteed grid access. It's a legislative requirement. We have to put that out there. We need to work on developing a standard to allow our electric vehicles to function as grid storage systems. We need to encourage our Michigan battery producers to support grid storage applications. And we need to keep setting those higher standards for efficiencies in our buildings and our cars. And we all need to work on it together. Thank you very much.